And he said logs, 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 hours of service. Because when you're doing the TNT phase of training, you have two logbooks, right? You have a in your truck has a 24-hour clock, right? You have two drivers in there. Someone's always going to be available to drive as long as you both aren't on duty. And so you get away with a lot more screwing off or whatever, or making mistakes, or whatever it may be. You can get away with a lot more like that. When you're solo, you can't do that. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do that when you're solo. You have to watch your clock. You have to manage your clock. You have to make sure you don't start your clock until you're supposed to, and make sure once you do start your clock, you have enough time to not only usually deliver, but also get back to a truck stop somewhere, depending on what you're doing. I think those are the hardest loads. I think the hardest loads for people to manage are the ones that load late or something, and so they're sitting at a customer. They have a full clock, right? Say you're sitting at a meat plant, you have a full clock. The customer calls you, hey, your load's ready. And if you're not careful, if you're already running late, the customer may be 8 hours away, for example, and you have 13 hours to get there. So that's cool. So they jump up and they go get the load, and they drive out there. They find somewhere to chill and kill a few hours. And they get to the customer and they're getting unloaded, and it takes them 2 hours, and now they're at 15 hours. So now they're sitting in the dock. They've been in the dock for 2 hours, and they have no time left on their clock. Now, you can legally PC from any customer, pickup or delivery, to a truck stop. You can use personal conveyance. You can legally do that. But here's what I recommend to people. So if it's 8 hours to that customer, I'm going to leave at 10 hours. I'm going to build in 2 extra hours of travel time just in case I need it. But that also gives me 4 hours to get unloaded into a truck stop, and I never have to mess with personal conveyance. That's important to me. Correct. Yeah. It would automatically drop you on duty if the truck is. Basically, if the brakes are engaged for 5 minutes, it's going to put you on duty. Well, I mean, Swisky, it depends on your trainer here. I'll be honest with you. It depends on your trainer. It really does. Depends on your TNT trainer. I hope I used to do a pretty good job with trip planning with these guys, but it's hard. My abilities as a trainer have been evolving for the last 18 months as I've been training, and hopefully they've gotten a lot better than what they were at the beginning. But I hope that's what I was doing. I hope I was teaching them. I hope they were learning. I've had a few students come back and tell me, "Hey, I actually feel like I learned more just by watching you trip plan, watching you do what you do, than when you explained it to me." Same thing with the driving. I mean, I found it easier when I try to explain to students certain things about driving, like following distance and when people are merging on and stuff. You try to explain it to them, and sometimes it doesn't always click. And what I found is if I do a little bit of driving, they watch how I handle situations on the highway, it seems to help them a little better. Put on the snow chain. Oh yeah, I mean, look, I don't. Hey, I never showed anybody how to put on snow chains. Student Stefan showed me. Um. Well, you have. I get my sleep in. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If I'm tired, I go sleep. Right. I've always been a big believer in that. I will not drive my truck tired. and I don't allow my students to drive my truck tired. So mine's super fast. Like I can trip plan a load in about fuel and everything. I can plan my load, my highways, my fuel stops, and like where I'm going to take my breaks, like quick, like 5 minutes up here. And that's not a joke. You can ask my students. It literally, I already know. When I get a load, I look at it. I can usually tell you where I'm going to stop for the night and which area I'm going to buy fuel in, like immediately. But then I just have to narrow it down to the actual truck stop. Well, that comes with time. That just comes with time. I've been doing this a long time, and that just comes with time and experience. It goes a lot faster. Yeah, the more you do it, the more you do trip planning, the more you trip plan, the faster it goes for you. And you get better at it and better at it, and then you start remembering where stuff is. Right? You're like, hey, I remember that truck stop. That place was great. The showers are really clean. That's where I want to stay. And so, stuff like that starts coming to mind. Do I keep track of everything? I don't write it down. It's up here. I have a really good memory. Swisky, I don't own one. And I really don't. I don't own a GPS. I use a navigation in the Qualcomm, but I don't own I don't go out and buy GPS. I had a Garmin years ago and I gave it to my wife. It's in the van at home. But yeah, I don't. But I'm really good about knowing where I'm going. My brother teases me all the time. My brother's a driver here, and he tells me all the time. He said, "You're the best GPS I know." You write down everything in notebooks. And there's a lot of drivers who write down everything in notebooks, and it really helps them. So I have a friend who writes down every customer, writes it all down, and then writes down their experience there. And then when loads come in, he goes back and he looks at it, and he's like, oh, I think I was there before. So he goes back to his notebook and he flips through it, and he looks for it. And he's like, okay, here it is. And, he makes side notes like, never again, great place. So, I mean, and he's turned down loads before because of it. Yeah, my brother drives, or my baby brother, actually. My mom had 9 kids, and I'm like in the middle. But, yeah, my baby brother drives here as well. I trained him last fall. Matter of fact, this time last year, he was in my truck. So he passed his CDL exam on October 22nd last year. So he was in PSD last year this time. So his 1 year is about up. Yeah, his 1 year is coming up quick. So he's just about fulfilled his contract. But he's not going anywhere. He's quite happy here at Prime. At least it was the last time I talked to him. So safest and cleanest. Loves is good. Look, and that really depends on the part of the country you're in, okay? But as far as like cleanliness, Loves and Pilot definitely, I think, do a lot better than the rest of them. That's for sure. There's just sometimes, it seems like every TA I go into recently, you walk in the bathroom, say you got to take a number 2, and you walk in the bathroom and you're like, I wouldn't even take a number 2 on the floor, let alone in the toilet. And so you just turn around, walk out, and go find somewhere else. It's ridiculous. Just, and that's most of the TAs, man. I don't know what it is about TA. They're just run down. They're not taking care of them. And I'm sure it's because they don't make their profit margin super small, because Pilot and Loves have took all their business. You can hover, hover over the floor, do the old hoverboard. The old hoverboard. That's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. You have to excuse me. I'm going through. See if I got any new hate mail. I did not. I did not get any hate mail. Got some reinforcement mail. Some happy mail. Hey, good job and all that, but. Budget cuts. Well, you're right. I got jokes back. Can always hover. Do the hover. No. But no, so yeah, so the Loves and Pilots are, I'm finding, in my opinion, are the best bets. Now, some people don't like them because they don't have like real restaurants in them. Some of the Flying J's do. And I'll be honest with you, I use more Flying J nowadays than anything myself, because it's very much a cross between your newer, faster geared in and out truck stops and your old school take your